Users report waking up to some SOS messages. Others had no connection at all, no ability to make calls, send or get texts. And in several southeastern states on the AT&T network, 911 service was temporarily unavailable over the past 2 days. The company saying it was working urgently throughout the day to restore service to its customers, encouraging them to use Wi-Fi calling until then. The highest number of AT&T outages was reported across the Midwest, Southeast, and in Texas, according to Down Detector. Customers also reported some outages on other major carriers like T-Mobile and Verizon, although T-Mobile says they did not experience an outage and are operating normally. Officials say the biggest concern is that we don't know much and that multiple carriers were affected.
Well, it's multiple networks, right? So that immediately is something that's a little bit concerning because we've seen over the years, many individual networks go down. That happens not that often, but it does happen.
And now that phone services have been restored for AT&T customers, people closer to home say they were afraid the outage would become permanent as it caused some major hiccups to their jobs and an inconvenience to their mornings.
Yeah, our 13 WREX's Shannon Taylor spoke with customers on the impact they felt and joins us live outside of an AT&T store right now. Shannon, tell us, what did you learn about this outage today?
Well, Brittany and Derek, earlier today, this parking lot was full of customers asking the million-dollar question, when am I getting service? Now, earlier I was watching customers come in and out of the AT&T store asking for help on when they can get service back on their phone. And even earlier, I spoke with one mom who says she was incredibly fearful and said this is the first time this has ever happened since switching to AT&T. Her name is Jamie Eisen, who has Cricket Wireless, also owned by AT&T. She tells me this morning she first noticed the service going on her phone after 6 a.m. this morning when trying to call her grandparents. She recalls her panic state of not being able to receive important calls in the case that something happens to her kids or even an emergency with her grandparents.
My first thought was my kids. They're at school and daycare. What if something happens? What if they can't get a hold of me? Then second thought was my grandparents. They're well up there in age. I actually I call my grandpa every morning and, he didn't, I called it and then it hung up and said call failed.
Now, coming up later on 13 News at 6, we'll hear from even more customers who tell me that the impact has impacted their work and their home lives, and even digging deeper into what you can do in case this ever happens again. Live in Rockford, I'm Shannon Taylor, reporting with 13 WREX.
Great, Shannon. Thank you for that update. And make sure you stay tuned to 13 News, both on air and online, for more as we learn about the cause of this outage.